Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another Supatease video. And patch 9.2.5 has just come out last week, and I wanted to cover my top 10 3v3 arena compositions for this patch so that you can take this information and do with it what you will on the ladder to try and complete your goals for this season, whether it be going after some transmog or some titles. These are top 10 of the compositions that I think can get you there. So without further ado, let's get started. Coming in the number 10 position is going to be RPS or RPP with the Paladin, Assassination Rogue, Shadow Priest, Resto Shaman, or Holy Paladin. This composition really packs a punch if your Rogue is running Night Fae with Sepsis and your Shadow Priest is also running Night Fae to reduce the cooldown of their Vendetta. You can bring in a Resto Shaman for a little bit more offense or a Holy Paladin for a little bit more durability and long lasting. I think the Paladin will play better into things like Rogue Mage, and Rogue Mage is very popular right now, so definitely interchangeable if you're looking to build this composition from LFG. Coming in at the number 9 position is going to be TSG. There's a lot of variables to this composition. You can run Fury, Frost, Resto Shaman, Fury, Unholy, Resto Shaman, really any combination of these. I think Arms Warrior is also leveling up a little bit since the recent nerfs to Destruction Warlock. The wizard meta that was keeping Arms Warrior at least in line is a little bit less rampant, which means you're going to see more arms, and I think Arms Warrior is actually very good into other cleaves, which there are apparently a lot of right now. I would recommend at the moment playing Fury Warrior, Unholy Death Knight, Restoration Shaman. I think that this one brings a lot of aggression, can overrun teams and overwhelm them with nothing but just raw output and pressure. The Abomination Limb is going to be a key component to this composition, so make sure that your Death Knight is playing Necrolord, but I don't know why they'd be playing anything else at this point. Moving into the number 8 position, we've got Demon Hunter Death Knight. Similarly to TSG, I think that this composition plays a little bit easier than the TSG version. It's a little bit more durable, which is why we see more of it at the higher end of the ladder than we see of TSG, but both are great for just stomping through if you're just trying to push for a Gladiator, but that was one of the reasons that it edged a little bit ahead on this list. I would at the moment recommend Unholy, Havoc, and Resto Shaman, but I think Frost can be really good in this composition with how much AoE damage Demon Hunters and Frost Death Knights do, so don't be afraid to look at combining the two. This is a highly durable, just run in, zug and get things done composition, and I would say is a lot easier to play than a lot of other options if you're looking for an easier route to push some rating. Number 7 is going to be the Demon Hunter Balanced Druid composition. This is one that I've seen a few teams running now at the top of the ladder. I'm playing it myself. It has its weaknesses. Outlaw Rogues specifically, which are very popular, is a major weakness. RMP can be very difficult for this composition, but against a lot of the cleaves, if you play a phenomenal defense, I think that you can stay alive, outlast, and have better matchups against some of the caster teams, the double spellcaster teams, than these double melee DPS. So it's going to give you a little bit more variability on the ladder and depending what you're queuing into. I'd say that it is harder to play than the other melee cleave, and I don't want to sound biased there from playing a balanced druid, but staying alive against something like a Ret Warrior is going to be a very big challenge as this composition, but if you're willing to overcome it, I think it has a lot more potential and can deal with more compositions on the ladder overall, which is why it's coming in at the number 7 position. Recommend a Kyrian balanced druid and a Necrolord Demon Hunter with this setup. Moving into number 6, we've got the Demo Wizards. So Demonology has had a resurgence since it's had buffs to its Mortal Wounds effect to 25%. The increase in stamina has now enabled its Tyrant build as Night Fae to do massive and monstrous amounts of damage. You can interchange Demonology with a lot of other wizards, almost any other spellcaster, I think, at the moment. I would recommend Shadow Priest for right now. I've got Holy Priest kind of double listed as Resto Druid as well. I think these healers are interchangeable. And even Paladin would be solid here. I should have listed Paladin on this as well. But I think Shadow Priest, Demonology is kind of performing at the top right now, but you can do Ellie, Frost. I was thinking about trying Balanced Druid as well. So if you're looking for wizards and you're a spellcaster looking for a composition, I would recommend finding a Demonology Warlock from LFG, a Holy Priest or a Resto Druid or a Holy Paladin, and then just start dominating the bracket with this composition. Coming in at number 5, we've got Turbo, just the classic here. This composition is really good at killing Death Knights. So you're going to have a really good time with that. It has a lot of survivability to play through with the Enhancement Shaman backing up as a secondary healer. I see most commonly this is Fury Warrior, Resto Druid Enhance, or Holy Paladin. But again, Arms Warrior could be a decent substitute if you're really kind of a diehard Arms Warrior fan. And it's very straightforward with Venthyr Enhance with Chain Harvest, Necrolord Fury Warrior with Monstrous Conqueror banner damage, and you're just kind of a blender composition that does damage and rolls your opponents over. So would highly recommend it at the moment. And moving into the number 4 position, we have the Jungle Cleave. This composition most commonly played with Holy Priest now. Discipline Priest seems to be almost entirely phased out from the most competitive lines of play. I'm thinking about giving it a try again on my own now that I've done my Holy Priest challenge, but I just really don't see any Disc Priest at the moment. Holy Priest just outshining them in every regard. Feral Druid and Beast Mastery Hunter I think is the most common, but Survival can do monstrous damage as well. This composition is very flexible in what it can fight against. It has a lot more odds and a lot less kind of counter comps than some of the others, which is why it's coming in at a higher rank on this top 10 list for now. Definitely the best Hunter comp, best Feral comp that you could be running at the moment, so give it a go. Coming in at number 3, we've got Double Outlaw. Would it really be a 9.2.5 list without putting Double Outlaw? I think what's more curious about this is the fact that it's only number 3 and not number 1, and there's a few other reasons for that. Double Outlaw is very powerful at the moment, but from what I have seen from one of the best teams playing it, queuing on the ladder, that it's struggling with is some of these melee cleaves that are having a resurgence, like the Retribution Paladin Warrior. They can beat it, but not all of the time. It's a composition that can be a bit more tricky as well because of all the cooldown reduction between the rogues. It's going to require some coordination. Fortunately, it is highly durable, so you will get away with making mistakes in this composition and stay alive while you try and figure out what you want to do with your 8 blinds on a 30-second cooldown or something like that. So even though it is tough offensively to figure out what lines of play you should be taking at any given moment, the fact that it is just so durable, basically invincible, you will have more than enough time to come up with those strategies that will be necessary to achieve victory. So definitely a top composition at the moment. And moving into the number 2 position is the Ret Paladin Warrior. And this comp disappeared for a while when we had Destro Warlocks and Frost Mages raining wizard terror all over the place here, while the Wizards of Hogwarts were just having their way here with the Ret Paladins. But it seems like it has kind of waned away. I don't see nearly as much. And if you look at the ladder, it is almost all Ret Paladins and Warriors. I would recommend Ret Paladin, Fury Warrior, either Resto Druid or Resto Shaman at the moment, but Holy Priest can be good as well. And Arms Warrior, again, if you're a diehard Arms Warrior fan, I don't think it's going to be all too bad. This comp is really good at killing pretty much everything at the moment, even some of the Wizard Cleaves. But the one thing that it struggles with, the one thing that I have deemed the number 1 on this list that it does struggle with is, and I think you can guess what it is before I move the slide, is RMP. And there are a lot of different versions of RMP that you can run. The most commonly powerful one is Outlaw Fire Mage Holy Priest. But I do think that the Outlaw version, Ret Warrior, can actually win. It's the Subtlety Fire Holy Priest that I think Ret Paladin Warrior struggles the most with. But Outlaw Fire Mage Holy Priest is easier to play, again, because of the durability and survivability of these specializations. Although it can be hard to execute with a kill because you have so many options for crowd control, and coordinating those things can be a challenge. You're so durable that you're almost always going to have time to figure out what you want to do with these setups to be able to find the kill. So an easier version of it. You can also play Assassination Fire Holy Paladin. I think that this is a much more aggressive, bursty version of this composition that I've seen at the top of the ladder as well. A little bit more unconventional, but definitely an option. The Subtlety Fire Holy Paladin as well. Holy Priest probably being the one that's better overall, and I think this kind of goes with no surprise. While Double Outlaw can beat this composition, I think that Double Outlaw actually struggles with some other comps that you will encounter on the ladder that RMP does not struggle with. I don't think that they're even in Double Outlaw. I don't think it's a direct counter. So this composition is basically untouched when it comes to counter picks, which is why it comes in at the number 1 position for my top 10 arena comps in patch 9.2.5. So I hope that you enjoyed this list. And if you want to make sure that you're staying up to date with any changes coming to World of Warcraft, or if it potentially piques your interest in the future, if you're struggling to figure out what's a good main class for you, what composition should you be looking at to try and find a good fit for yourself and what's going to create the best experience for you, then and hit the subscribe button, because that is the main purpose of the channel. So without further ado, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.